Hey there, it's Backwater Jay again, in case you haven't figured it out. Um, I'm here to talk to you a little bit about, well, as you probably guessed by the title, us versus them. First of all, a little bit about myself. Um, I've come to realize over the years that I am definitely a reactionary individual. I tend to lash out or I tend to withdraw when I feel like I'm under attack. Um, and it's something I'm trying to change. It's something that I'm trying to grow in, but it's not easy, you know. But I want to delve a little bit deeper than myself here. This is going to be an exploration into the combative nature of mankind, which, as we've seen, particularly in recent months, I mean, has been well, it's there and it doesn't seem to be going away. So let's look into this. Where does it come from? There are those that say this is an evolutionary holdover, that this is the remnant of a fight or flight instinct, that from time that we needed these things just for day to day survival. There are those that look to spiritual causes, demons, evil spirits. There are those that just think there are bad people out there being bad people and doing bad things. And none of these cases can be proven objectively. None of them are particularly, can be disproven either. But my theory on this is that in many cases, belligerent behavior happens due to insecurities on our parts. The need to speak out and prove that I'm better than them for the feeling of self worth. Um, what does this look like? Well, first of all, let's look at, follow the paper trail, and by that I mean the trail of money. There are millions of dollars being spent to put, or would be spent if, COVID lockdown was not in effect. Um, but putting people, crowding people in benches to watch grown men beat the crap out of each other. This is, no offense if you're a football fan, if you're a boxing fan, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, this is modern arena combat, basically. This is an outlet for aggressive behavior and to rally behind folks that are, engaging in aggression. Even in less violent sports, though, people tend to divide heavily and vocally on which teams they support. Um, but to get a little bit deeper, to get a little bit more serious, we historically have always fought over differences in ideology, um, over divisions in race and class, and in gender. Um, Here in America, and of course there's versions of this worldwide, but we have the Republicans versus the Democrats, which, if I may indulge my personal conspiracy theory for a moment here, I think they're in it together. I think they're pulling a divide and conquer and just basically sitting back behind closed doors and laughing at the people that are flocking to one side or the other because they have created a caricature of what the other side truly believes. Um, in any case, virtually all of this is subjective. There is no way to objectively prove that we're right and they're wrong. And so we just shout louder, and in some cases, we hit harder. We rally behind a cause because it gives us an excuse to be terrible people to each other. We feel justified and right about bullying others when it's in the name of something we ostensibly believe in. It doesn't even matter what the cause is. Case in point here, and I'm about to make a bit of a barometer statement. I'd like to focus in for a moment on the Christian church versus the LGBT community. Now, pause, record scratch, do whatever you think is appropriate here, but if you thought in some form, how dare you mention those people, you may be part of the problem. But let's look at commonalities here. Both communities have been the subject of hatred and bigotry for centuries. Both communities ostensibly believe in love, acceptance, and goodwill for humanity. And many in both communities do. But there's a vocal minority on either side that is vilifying and demonizing the other, and many are starting to be poisoned by this way of thinking. As a result, in practice, there is a lot of bigoted and hateful behavior being expressed on both sides, compounding the problem. And the fact that these are the individuals or the groups that the media most focus on just does not help at all. The media is probably going to be the death of us. That is my personal opinion. I know that, that's controversial, obviously. But they definitely tend to compound problems for their own profit margin. Let's leave it at that. But let me address Christians first, because this is closest to home. If you're engaging in this kind of behavior, folks, this is not the Christ I know. This is not the Christ who said, love your enemy, pray for those who despitefully use you, judge not, lest ye be judged. Let he who never sinned throw the first stone. Blessed are the peacemakers. Christ loved in practice, and so should we. We don't get to judge. It's not our place. Those who make themselves enforcers, taking God's law into their own hands, are showing a profoundly faithless response. Trust the Holy Spirit to do the job of convincing others of their wrong, and instead focus on the plank in your own eye. Turning us around and addressing the LGBT community, following Christ is a lifestyle choice like any other. It is worthy of your tolerance and your respect. I have seen some remarkably intolerant words and behavior from a movement that preaches tolerance above all else. This is hypocrisy. It is seen as hypocrisy and will only serve as fuel for the fire. Now, many on both sides of this issue set up a straw man fallacy about their quote-unquote opponent's belief and the way of life without ever really making an effort to understand them. To set that issue aside for the moment, competitive behavior, in my opinion, is a problem. The emotional damage is vast, and too often it erupts into physical violence. Wars have been started over it. Genocide has been committed in the name of it. So, how do we change? First of all, this is not just an issue of human nature. Folks, that's an excuse. While there is an inborn tendency to this sort of things, we own our actions, we own our words. We can be better than that, and many do. But I think for those of us like myself that come to this from a damaged standpoint, as a sort of defense response, as a sort of working out of internal insecurities, we need to work first to overcome the insecurities that drive this sort of behavior. How can we be at peace with others when we are at war with ourselves? End the siege on others and explore the underlying roots of the problem in your own psyche. This is going to be a lengthy and difficult process. I'm not trying to belittle that, and you will need help. As human beings, we're not wired to work out issues on our own. If you don't have someone you can talk to about your issues, find someone you can talk to about your issues. Pay a counselor if you need to. But you need to be looking at, and yes, this is costly and it's, risky. It's making yourself vulnerable. But you need to be looking at the damage that you're doing to others, whether this is intentional or no. And the damage to an extent that you're doing to yourself. So, secondly, when confronted with differing viewpoints, first look at them objectively. Back it up, look at the facts. Try to understand the viewpoint being expressed, even if you don't agree. It is entirely possible to disagree with someone's beliefs on a fundamental level and still respect them. It is possible to think someone is dead wrong and still love them. Now, folks, I think we all know no two people share 100% of their beliefs. That's what makes us individuals. Opening your mind to other ways of thinking doesn't make your beliefs weaker. It means they're stronger. You're secure enough to listen. So I'd encourage you folks to see the person, not the idea. A person with value, dignity, and worth. And I'd invite you to please join me in this process. Now, as my newly established tradition, I'm going to share a song with you that somewhat correlates to the issue under discussion here. This is a song written in late July called Stain. These colors run under the sun. Smoking gun, gotta hand it to you. You're warping the signal, gonna send a chill right through my amygdala. The seasons change, but we stay the same. Gotta play the game. In your lip pipe dreams where you hold the revolver, the ballroom screams, squeeze the trigger to solve her. Safe to call a spade a spade. The hand we're dealt in the game we play. It's not enough to wipe this stain away, this stain away. The deed's undone when we're overrun. They weigh a ton in your reptile brain, where it's cause and effect. This electric pain, you react to the stimulus. The world's in flames, but we're still the same, and we're all to blame. Gotta twist the knife in the hand that feeds, and let hatred breed till the day it reigns supreme. Hate to call a spade a spade. The hand we're dealt in the game we play. It's not enough to wipe this stain away, this stain away. Mountaintops arise under purple crimson skies, while we'll watch creation die. But it's far too late in the game to agonize. Safe to call a spade a spade. The hand we're dealt in the game we play. It's not enough to wipe this stain away. Safe to call a spade a spade. The hand we're dealt in the game we play. It's not enough to wipe this stain away, this stain away. Thanks for watching. See you next week.